to EMPERS, and that is due to the fact that they say that there is this law that says if you lose more than 50 officers, that you are essentially trying to dissolve the police department, which we've never tried to dissolve the police department, but because there is this law that isn't even really meeting the intent of what it was trying to do, we're getting penalized. Even though, as you all know, we've done one retention payment after the next to the NOPD, bought new cars and done everything to keep them, we're being penalized for this potential partial dissolution that we're being accused of. And so we're getting a lot of support to get that fixed due to the fact that it's not just impacting the city of New Orleans. This is actually impacting cities across the state, and there is a big need to fix this. But the legislature is also, of course, looking to us on what we have done to deal with the budget crisis. You all have seen the level of budget cuts that we have had to implement. You covered the budget process leading into 2026. I've now had to implement furloughs, something that I did not want to do. And one of the things that we are now looking to do to stabilize and finally structurally fix the budget is we have to start generating new revenue. And there is one fee in particular that I will ask the City Council to consider increasing, and that is the sanitation fee. Now, of course, I do not want to do any type of increase in fee. I mean, I hate to even, bring this up, but this fee is just totally out of whack. It is a fee that has not been touched since 2011, and this particular fee is $24 right now, and it includes curbside pickup of trash. It also includes curbside pickup of recycling services as well. And it is at $24, generating about $38 million a year, but the total cost of our sanitation services are $62 million. So what other parishes have been doing is they are aligning their fees with their vendor contracts. And so that is something that I will ask for our city council to consider. And, as far as the number, all of that still needs to be worked through on the council side as far as what that potential fee increase could look like. We're also looking at potentially adding additional services should there be an increase. And one of the services that we are looking into is we have complaints of illegal dumping in all of the different council districts. And we wanted to create a strike force like what was in place before Hurricane Katrina that really would travel from council district to council district, responding to illegal dumping sites and cleaning those up. And so that's one example of some of the additional services that we would like to provide should there be an increase in the sanitation fee. But if I can't get this level of increase, because like I said, there's a $24 million gap right now that the general fund is having to fill between what the fee currently covers and what it costs. If I can't get these things done, then going into 2027, we will have to start, unfortunately, cutting into essential services, which I've really tried to protect. So that means cutting into public safety, cutting into sanitation. But the reason why I have these two gentlemen with me, Matt Torrey, the director of sanitation, and also Mike Wagasback, who is the Louisiana legislative auditor, is because they have done a full analysis on the sanitation fee. The auditor Wagasback, he actually was required to do a whole assessment on sanitation fees due to a request he received from the legislature back in 2025 to really take a hard look at the sanitation fee here in New Orleans. So it doesn't matter what order y'all want to go in. Mike, if you want to take it first, and then Matt, and you can talk a little bit about what your report found and why you feel like there needs to be an overall addressing of the sanitation fee here in New Orleans. Thanks.
Thank you, Mayor. Mike Wagasback, Louisiana Legislative Auditor. So we did a study and did a release. This is December 17th of 2025. I've got 5 copies I'll leave for any media outlets to see it. But if not, you can go on our site and review this. But we looked at the fee and we quickly determined that it's not covering the costs. And we looked at other Baton Rouge, other municipalities within the state of Louisiana, looked at their contract design. Those contracts were designed to basically adjust the fee as needed, upward or downward, depending on the contract needs. you clearly are, we're at the point in time in New Orleans where the general fund can no longer subsidize this sanitation fee. I mean, the residents are going to have to step up and pay for this. This is a service provided to you, and it's, you know, it's your disposal, it's your sanitation. There's a lot of costs associated with landfills, and there's been no adjustment since 2011, as the mayor said. So it's time the city addresses this. If not, if you don't want to, if the council chooses not to move forward with this, then again, another 15 to 20 to 25 million dollar cuts will have to be made. Where will that be made? You know, nobody wants to jeopardize spending less in overtime when it comes to public safety. Nobody wants to reduce recreation spend, but things like that will have to be cut. So as part of our oversight here, we highly recommend and support this measure. So again, I'll leave these for you. And if you have any questions as you review these reports, please feel free to reach out and call my office.
Can I get one of those? I'll grab one.
Yep.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Matt Torrey. I'm the director for the Department of Sanitation. So leading up to and during Hurricane Ida, as you all recall, we had a significant failure in sanitation services across the city where solid waste and putrid debris piled up for several weeks and caused a public health hazard, which we had to, of course, deal with. And it took significant effort. And at that time, we embarked on a 2-year process to really transform our curbside collection contracts for solid waste and recycling, and we're able to award new contracts to the 5 service areas across the city. And we have, in fact, done that. We've dramatically transformed the service level that residents receive across this city, significantly enhancing service, bringing on a fleet of new equipment beginning in 2022 and 2024, providing for higher wages, benefits for the employees to provide this valuable service, worker protections in the form of PPE and safety. But overall, that level of service, we've seen an over 80% reduction in the number of missed collection complaints that we had at that peak in 2022 following Hurricane Ida. When we look across the city on a weekly basis, now we have on average 50 to 60 missed collection complaints for the entire city in a week. That's for 165,000 households. That is a remarkably low number, and it really demonstrates the exemplary service that we're receiving right now. The rates that we secured in these contracts for once a week solid waste collection, once a week recycling collection are fair. When we look across the region, when we compare to our neighboring parishes, we do see the value that we're receiving in those contracts for us. So we're excited about that. We know these contracts are set up to be sustainable for the long term of the city, this full 7 years of these contracts. They're battle tested. We did have a hurricane several years ago, Hurricane Francine, where we needed to activate these contracts and be able to resume sanitation services. So the continuity of operations plans that these contracts are required to have, that level of readiness, our contractors were out and resumed solid waste collection within 2 days of Hurricane Francine and got the city back to normal in 1 week. So that really demonstrated that the objectives that we were seeking to accomplish, to have these contracts in place to provide that enhanced level of service, that we're doing it on a daily basis. As the mayor mentioned, we now need to have a fee that will cover that cost of service that residents have come to expect now. So, you know, I look forward to working with the mayor, the council on answering questions and providing information so that we can adjust the sanitation fee to match that cost of service that we're currently receiving.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you, Mike. So once again, you know, on the sanitation fee, I wish I could have the luxury of having the general fund continue to cover this deficit, but unfortunately, that is no longer the luxury that I have or that the city council has due to the budget crisis that we are dealing with. We do have to find a way to fix this particular fee that really has not been touched since 2011. So, not happy about it, but this is where we are, and this is something we need to fix. All right, guys, happy to take any questions.
I know we have all topic questions. We're going to start with the legislative session first in Sewage and Water Board in Winston.
Yes,
Yeah.
you said the health department has reached out to homeowners over there at Miller Street.
Not, the health department hasn't reached out to homeowners, NOSEP has. So that's our Office of Homeland Security. They're actually out there right now as we speak, the team is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Randy Heyman, he is in DC lobbying for federal dollars to, support the infrastructure and hopefully fix it. Obviously, the goal is you don't want, once he does get the money, you don't want him to just sit on it. He said that in previous cities, he's been able to have like initiatives fixing old infrastructure. Is there another city or an example of how you think we should approach it compared to, like Philadelphia? He worked in Philadelphia. Is there another, I guess, copy and paste like system that you think you can apply here in the world?
Yeah, let me tell you what I'm looking for, and I don't want to speak for the city council, but I've talked to council members. What we want to see is a real plan, a real plan around what has been happening uptown. You've seen numerous breaks all along Claiborne. You've seen major breaks at Panola Street. What is the plan? What are you doing to try to rectify this situation right now that is clearly a significant emergency? What is a short-term plan? What is a long-term plan? What is the potential cost? And let's all figure out and work toward that. That's what we're looking for. Going up to DC and saying you're getting federal funding, well, that's fantastic. I appreciate getting federal funding for infrastructure. It's necessary, and it will always be necessary. I think he's trying to get a $10 million earmark, which is great, and I appreciate a $10 million earmark. But everything I keep hearing is that it's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of sewage and water board infrastructure problems that we have. So I appreciate the $10 million earmark. What we would like to see is a real plan. Like, show me short-term, medium-term, and long-term plans, and then let's figure out how to fund all of these different types of initiatives and be very strategic about it. But more than anything, work with urgency to get it done.
Gabby?
Hey, Gabby.
Just a clarifying question
Sure.
here and a follow-up. At around 3 a.m., there was an active public safety incident alert that came over in already. Was that related to the water main break?
Yeah, so that was the same. I got that too because I got a call from Caitlin that was like at, let me see when I wrote it down. I wrote it down at 2:54. Okay, and then it like that I don't know if it was NOLA ready, but the public safety thing, and it was kind of that same general area, but it wasn't through NOSEP this time. It was actually through OPCD that sent out this alert. But yes, it was all related to the flooding that was occurring there.
And I bring that up because there are just some residents, I guess they thought when they heard public safety incident, maybe
Yeah.
that, there was somebody maybe.
Look, Gabby, I agree. Let me be clear. I agree, and I addressed that this morning during our deputy mayor meeting. That was a very unclear message. I agree on the public safety piece. That if you didn't know, if you didn't get a call like I did, that there was flooding happening uptown, that it can be very distressing. And if you also look at the streets and the way the streets were laid out, those streets don't intersect either. So it was not a good message. It was something that I addressed this morning, and I'm like, why did we send it out this way? And then through backtracking, we realized that it was actually not sent out through NOSEP and NOLA ready as it usually is. It was sent out through OPCD, and it was based on the flooding. But they shouldn't have said public safety, and that'll be corrected.
Sorry,
Sure.
Just one more thing. Just some of those folks, obviously, who are frustrated, as you said,
As I am.
as well.
As I am.
People who are cleaning up their houses today.
Yes.
And are wading through water, right? I mean, could you speak directly to them and just kind of talk through that?
Yeah, first, to anyone who is dealing with the loss of property, with the terrible inconvenience of potentially, having impacts on your business, to not being able to bring your kids to school today because school is canceled, that this is not the way that things should be. And it should be an all hands on deck approach, which I am pushing for, to get solutions to this problem that we know is along those pipes uptown. And honestly, as I said before, this is something that the Sewage and Water Board should have already taken note of and been addressing. And so, I'm happy to share with you all the email that I sent to Randy Heyman earlier today, talking about the very issues that I brought up to you all today. Where is that analysis so you can figure out what other breaks there are in those main lines uptown so that you can start addressing the problems before they burst someplace else? And then what is the long-term strategy to fix these pipes? Because I can tell you that if you do one of the liners or you insert a long pipe within these already existing pipes, you're going to lengthen the longevity of these pipes anywhere from 25 to 50 years. So what are we doing? Let's go. Like, I'm sick and tired of you telling me that these are old pipes and it's a multi-billion-dollar problem. What are we doing about the problem that we have right now uptown? Let's get it done. Let's get to work. Give me a plan. Let's work toward a solution. That's all I ask for.
Neil, did you hear?
Real quickly to kind of piggyback
Sure.
on that, has there been any updates needed from the Boyle Advisory to prioritize businesses? Because some of the businesses are saying that they don't know about it.
That they didn't get the notices? Yeah, I mean, with that, obviously, we want everybody to sign up for NOLA Ready alerts. And obviously, you all, the news agencies, are putting it out there like crazy on your notifications on smartphones. And of course, you're doing breaking news, scrolling across the bottom and the top of every newscast. So we are doing all possible to get the information out for anyone who didn't get a notice. Please make sure that you are signed on to the NOLA Ready alerts, because that's how we do get that information out.
Hi, follow up on the sanitation
Yep.
question. What's your timeline for bringing that to city council and then for, if it gets approved, ultimately passing it along to residents?
Yeah, so working with council members now, likely to be introduced potentially this Thursday, because I do have a council meeting on Thursday. But remember, that's only for first read, and so it would have to lie over. It's a fee ordinance, so I think that has 21 days. So that has to lie over for more than 2 weeks. It lies over for 21 days, and then after that point, they can take it up. And like I said, there's we've got to make up that gap, and there's all different ways that they can figure out what additional services that may come with it. Ways to play around with those numbers. But I just welcome their assistance, and I appreciate this collaborative approach that we've had in talking about this fee and talking about the crisis that we're facing, and knowing that we all have to work together to resolve it.
And so you, sorry, I have a question.
Sure.
So you talked about adding additional services. So Jefferson Parish went the opposite way. When things were going, prices were going up, residents didn't want it, they cut curbside recycling. Is that an option for Orleans Parish?
So I'm working on keeping services as they are and seeing what we can potentially add to it still within the fee. And so in talking with Director Torrey, we knew that we could build in a sanitation strike force like Mark Morial had back before Hurricane Katrina, that would literally go from district to district and cleaning up different illegal dumping sites. We also looked at what we could do to increase recycling drop-off sites. So putting additional recycling drop-off sites through different parts of the city, and in particular glass drop-off sites. So these are like some of the things that we were looking at as potentially being able to add to it.
Well, about what time did you send that email to Mr. Hammond?
Oh gosh, it was this morning.
And has he responded?
I've not seen a response, but I'll say this, Will, in fairness, I've been in one meeting after the next, so I haven't been able to check on his response. Hey, Blake.
I was wondering if you could tell us a little more about the school board legislation to settle that. I mean, where is the city at in negotiations here?
I mean, the city, has been working in good faith to get the settlement done. I will have Joe Geruso get in touch with you, because he's the one that's working more closely on this with our city attorney. So I don't want to speak out of term on where exactly we are with the settlement. But obviously, this bill would correct on the sales tax piece. I think our sales tax collection rate is like 1.5, something like that. And other parishes are way higher at like 9. I'm not saying we need to go all the way to 9, but is there some kind of way that we could be more in line with some of the other parishes? And really everything that we've talked about today is about being in line with other parishes, whether we're talking about collecting a fee for sanitation that covers the cost of contracting, just like other parishes do, whether we're talking about having more accountability around a major agency that deals with our drinking water and our drainage infrastructure like other parishes do, and same on the sales tax collection as well.
Can I, one follow-up, the
Sure.
legislative session, right before you came out, the governor was giving his address.
Uh-oh.
He begged the legislature to
Yeah.
implement these judicial reforms, literally begged, in New Orleans. I'm wondering, you're not over the judicial system, but obviously what happens there affects the city.
Yes.
And so like, where do you stand on this? Like, how are you gonna interact with this legislation in Baton Rouge?
So, look, let me be clear, and as a former legislator, there are some bills that come about because they are really about efficiencies, and some that come about because they are political. And I believe that this one is really more about being political. And so I don't usually believe that that's the best way to approach things. And so while I haven't thoroughly reviewed every single one of these judiciary bills, I am talking to, of course, our local judges and really judges across the state who have a lot of concerns about these bills.
Jambalaya News, you have anything?
Hey, you had a follow-up? Yeah.
The acoustic analysis that
Yes.
you're talking about, is that just for uptown or across the whole system?
For right now, it's those pipes that are the major lines that are having significant issues that I think that should be done with immediately.
Last one, Gabby.
Thank you. And, pardon me, Director Heyman has said, you know, that he maybe wants to do some of these repairs, that there isn't the money involved. What is your response to that?
Great question. What is the amount? Give me the amount. Give me the plan. Don't just tell me there's no money. Don't just tell me you need billions. What is the plan? How much do you need? And let's go make it happen. You see, this is like the constant aggravation that the council has, that I have, that the legislature has, and so do the people of this city. Give us specifics, and then we'll all go together to the federal government, to the state, whoever we need to go figure out the solution. All right, Gabby, thank you. Thank you, guys.